you ever stood within a place entirely new to your waking eyes, yet felt a tremor of uncanny familiarity ripple through your bones, as if your very feet have walked its dust in some half-forgotten dream, some other lifetime's gentle sorrow? Or met a stranger for the very first time, and seen within their gaze a flicker of an ancient shared story you cannot quite recall, a silent recognition that hums beneath the surface of polite exchange? Perhaps it is a persistent, nameless longing that haunts your quieter moments, a melody you almost remember its notes just beyond the threshold of hearing, an ache for a home you feel you've never truly known, yet profoundly miss. These are the echoes, faint and fleeting as starlight at dawn, that resonate through the hidden chambers of your being. They are not loud declarations, these subtle emissaries from within, but the softest whispers from the unseen landscapes of your soul, the delicate perfume of a flower you cannot name but whose fragrance stirs a deep and poignant memory. These are the traces of the rest of yourself, aspects unacknowledged in the bright noon of your daily consciousness, potentials that lie like sleeping seeds in a forgotten garden, memories veiled by the mists of time or the tender amnesia of the heart, connections that span beyond the visible horizon of your current cherished life. What if these echoes, these unplaceable feelings, are not mere phantoms of a restless mind, not tricks of memory or wistful imaginings? What if they are authentic calls, sacred invitations to embark upon a most intimate search, a journey inward, not to distant lands, but into the uncharted wilderness of your own vast being, to find those missing notes, to gather those scattered fragments, to finally hear, and perhaps complete, the unheard melody that is, and always has been, uniquely, divinely, you? This is the search for the rest of yourself, a pilgrimage back to a wholeness you sense is possible, a wholeness that whispers your name in the quietest hours. Let us begin this gentle search then, not in realms distant and unknown, but within the most intimate landscape of all, the veiled territories of your own personal history, the lost chambers of this very lifetime. For so many of the echoes that call to you, those tugs of unnamable emotion, those patterns that repeat with such stubborn insistence, have their genesis here, in the unremembered moments, the unwept tears, the unspoken words of your own journey from child to now. Imagine your life, your memory, as an ancient, sprawling house. You inhabit its familiar rooms, its sunlit parlors, but there are other wings perhaps, dusty and forgotten, doors you have long since locked, and whose keys you believe are lost. Yet from behind these closed doors, faint sounds still emanate, the sigh of a childhood sorrow, the jubilant shout of a forgotten joy, the insistent tap of an unmet need, still waiting for your gentle acknowledgement. These are the footprints in forgotten snow, the experiences of your early years, so potent, so deeply formative, often leave their imprints upon your tender psyche in ways your adult mind no longer consciously recalls. A moment of profound connection, a sudden startling fear, a quiet disappointment, a need for comfort that went unanswered. These impressions, if unvoiced, unprocessed, unheld in compassionate awareness at the time, do not simply vanish. They crystallize, like frost patterns on a winter window, becoming part of the unseen architecture of your inner world. They become the veiled personal history, the silent resonance that colors your present perceptions, shapes your reactions, and subtly guides your choices, often from just beyond the reach of your everyday understanding. The echo you can't place might be the unexpressed grief of a younger self, still waiting to be mourned. The inexplicable anxiety that sometimes grips you could be the reverberation of an old childhood fear, its original cause long since faded from conscious view. That recurring sense of not quite belonging, or of striving for an approval that always seems just out of reach. These too can be the subtle hauntings of needs and narratives formed in the delicate dawn of your being. This is not about dwelling in the past, beloved, but about honoring its living presence within you, about understanding that these faint echoes are not meant to trap you, but to invite you with infinite tenderness to revisit those lost chambers, to reclaim those forgotten fragments, and to integrate their wisdom into the ever-unfolding story of who you are becoming. And then, beloved, there are the echoes that arise not from what was and has been forgotten, but from what could be, what yearns to be, yet remains unexpressed, unsung within you. These are the murmurs of your dormant potentials, the iridescent shimmer of your shadowed gifts, the unlived lives that lie like sleeping seeds within the fertile, yet perhaps untended, soil of your soul. How many passions did you gently set aside, deeming them impractical, too bold, or simply not for you, their vibrant colors fading into the monochrome of the sensible? How many talents, nascent and eager, did you allow to wither on the vine, fearing failure, or perhaps even the bright, unfamiliar light of their success? These are the unsung verses of your unique song, the music your deepest self still longs to bring forth into the world. This is the realm of what Jung called the golden shadow, not the darkness you fear, but the brilliance you have disowned, the magnificent capacities you were taught or taught yourself to believe were not yours to claim. Perhaps it was a childhood dream of painting worlds into existence, now a faint ache when you pass an art gallery, or a deep intuitive connection to nature, now a quiet sadness amidst the concrete in the clamor, or a voice that yearned to speak its truth, now a tightness in your throat. These unwatered seeds, these silent instruments, do not simply lie dormant without consequence. Their potential energy, their unmanifested light, creates a subtle tension within you, a quiet hum of longing, an echo of the fuller, more vibrant self you are capable of becoming. You may encounter these echoes as a restlessness you cannot name, a dissatisfaction with the familiar contours of your life, a feeling that despite all outward appearances, something vital is missing. You might see these unlived potentials projected onto others, admiring with a strange intensity their creativity, their courage, their freedom, not realizing that you are gazing upon the reflection of your own unexpressed gold. The echo you can't place then might be the call of your own stifled brilliance, the yearning of your soul to express more of its innate music, to paint with all its hidden colors. It is an invitation not to regret what hasn't been, but to recognize, with tender courage, the beautiful, powerful parts of you still waiting in the wings, ready, at last, to step into the light and claim their voice, their dance, their rightful place in the symphony of your being. Now let us widen the lens of our gentle inquiry, beyond the chambers of your personal history, beyond even the garden of your unlived potentials, to listen for echoes that resonate from a vaster, more ancient source. For you are not an isolated island, sprung from nowhere. You are a single, luminous leaf on a colossal ancient tree, your roots intertwined deeply with the generations that came before, you drawing sustenance, wisdom, and sometimes their unhealed sorrows from the very soil of ancestral memory. These are the echoes in your blood, in your bone, the subtle imprints of lives lived long ago, whose stories, though consciously forgotten, may still whisper their themes through the patterns of your own existence. Have you ever felt an inexplicable affinity for a land you've never visited, a culture far removed from your own upbringing, as if some part of your soul remembers its scent, its songs, its sorrows? Or perhaps you carry a particular fear, a recurring emotional theme, a puzzling life pattern that seems to have no clear origin in your own experiences, yet feels profoundly, almost archetypally familiar. These could be the resonances of the ancestral river, the subtle currents of unresolved legacies, karmic imprints, or deep soul agreements that flow through your lineage, seeking expression, understanding, or perhaps finally release through you. The echo you can't place might be the faint, far-off sound of a drum beaten by an ancestor, a melody hummed by a great-grandmother whose joys or griefs still seek a voice, a resolution within your own heart. This is not to say you are merely a puppet of the past, for your consciousness holds the sacred power of transformation. But to acknowledge these ancestral echoes is to understand that the rest of yourself extends beyond the confines of this single lifespan. It is to recognize that you may be carrying, and have the opportunity to heal or to celebrate, themes that are far older, far wider than your individual narrative. It is to feel the immense invisible tapestry of your belonging, to sense the hands of those who came before resting gently upon your shoulders, their hopes, their strengths, their unfulfilled dreams, perhaps finding a new possibility, a new expression, through the unique gift of your life. Listen closely, for the river of your ancestors flows within you, and its currents carry echoes of wisdom, of resilience, and of stories yearning to be brought into the compassionate light of your awareness. And then, beloved, there is an echo that arises from a place deeper still, from the very core of your spiritual essence. It is a longing that no worldly achievement, no human relationship, however beautiful, can entirely assuage. This is the echo of your soul's native tongue, the faint, yet persistent, remembrance of your origin, your connection to a reality far vaster than the material world, your intrinsic oneness with the universal source, the very ground of all being. This is not an echo of something missing from your personality or your personal history, but a divine homesickness, a sacred yearning for a state of being that you intuitively know is your truest home. You are the wave, yes, unique and precious in your temporary form, yet some deep resonant part of you remembers the boundless ocean from which you arose, and to which you will, in time, return. You are the spark, brilliant and individual, yet you carry within you the inextinguishable fire of the great flame, the consciousness that illuminates all of existence. This particular echo, this profound spiritual ache, often manifests as a quest for meaning beyond the mundane, a thirst for transcendent experience, a deep desire to feel connected not just to other humans but to the entirety of life, to the silent, breathing mystery of the cosmos itself. It may surface in moments of awe before the grandeur of nature, the star-strewn immensity of the night sky, the ancient stillness of a mountain peak, the infinite rhythm of the ocean's breath. It can arise in the presence of sacred art, or music that seems to touch the eternal, or in the profound silence of deep meditation, when the boundaries of your small self begin to dissolve, and you sense your participation in something utterly vast, utterly sacred, utterly loving. You may not initially recognize this longing for what it is. You might mistake it for a dissatisfaction with your current life, a restlessness that drives you to seek new experiences, new relationships, new achievements, hoping to finally fill that unnamable void. But the echo persists because it calls not for more of the world, but for a deeper dimension of being, a conscious reunion with the spiritual ground that is your ultimate reality. This is the search for the rest of yourself that includes your divine inheritance, your timeless nature. It is the echo of the infinite, whispering your true name, reminding you that you are not merely a creature of earth, but a child of the cosmos, a luminous strand in the infinite, interconnected web of spirit, forever held, forever cherished, forever part of the One. So, how do you begin to follow these faint echoes, to trace them back to their source, to consciously engage in this sacred search for the rest of yourself? The journey begins, as all true inner journeys must, by cultivating a hallowed quiet within. For these subtle whispers of the soul, these delicate imprints of forgotten or unmanifested parts, cannot be heard amidst the relentless noise of your daily life, nor discerned through the agitated lens of a restless mind. You must create a sanctuary of stillness within, a space where the outer world can fall away, and the inner world can gently begin to reveal its secrets. This is the art of cultivating profound inner receptivity, of becoming like a perfectly still forest pool, capable of reflecting the faintest starlight, the most delicate tremor. This stillness is invited through practices that quiet the mind and open the heart. Meditation in its myriad forms, whether focusing on the breath, a mantra, or simply observing the flow of thoughts without attachment, gradually stills the turbulent waters of the psyche, allowing what is submerged to gently surface. Spending unstructured time in nature, too, is a profound teacher of receptivity. The ancient trees, the silent stones, the ceaseless flow of the river, all speak a language that bypasses the intellect and resonates directly with your soul, helping you to remember your own natural rhythms, your own deep connection to the web of life. Reflective journaling, approached not as a mere cataloging of events but as a sacred dialogue with your inner self, can also be a powerful tool. As you pour out your thoughts, your feelings, your questions onto the page without censorship, you create a space for the echoes to take form, for their messages to become clearer, for the unseen parts of you to find a voice. This is not about forcing insight, but about creating the conditions for it to arise organically. It is about learning to be comfortable with the unknown, with the silence, with the spaces between your thoughts. For it is in these liminal spaces, these quiet interludes in the symphony of your life, that the echoes are most clearly heard. It is here that you become the archaeologist of your own soul, gently brushing away the accumulated dust of years, of lifetimes perhaps, to uncover the precious, forgotten artifacts of your true and total being. This hallowed quiet is the temple you build within, where the faintest whisper of your wholeness can finally be received with reverence. As you cultivate this inner stillness, this sacred receptivity, you begin to notice more acutely the ways in which the unseen parts of yourself attempt to communicate. For the soul has its own language, a mother tongue rich with symbol, image, and resonant feeling, a language often most fluent in the landscapes of your dreams. Your nightly voyages into the unconscious are not mere random firings of the brain, but profound opportunities for dialogue with the lost and forgotten aspects of your being. These are, as it were, nightly letters from the rest of yourself, coded messages from the deep. Learn to welcome these dreams, to record their narratives however fragmented or bizarre they may seem, to sit with their images, their emotions, and to gently inquire into their meaning for you. What figures appear? What feelings do they evoke? What symbols shimmer with a particular numinous charge? These are often direct communications from the echoes you seek. Beyond dreams, the universe itself often speaks in symbols, arranging events and encounters into patterns of synchronicity, but if noticed, can feel like direct messages, winks from the unseen, affirming that you are part of a larger, meaningful coherence. A song lyric that perfectly mirrors your inner state, a chance encounter that opens an unexpected door, a recurring image or number that seems to follow you. These are not to be dismissed. They are often the subtle ways the resonant web makes itself known, the ways the echoes guide you towards understanding. And then there is the profound practice of active imagination, a conscious engagement with the inner world. Here, you do not merely observe the images that arise, but you enter into dialogue with them. You give voice to that recurring dream figure. You ask questions of that persistent inner feeling. You follow that symbolic pathway in your mind's eye, building a bridge of light between your conscious self and these emissaries from your deeper, vaster being. This is not about escaping into fantasy, but about courageously engaging with the authentic living reality of your own psyche. Through these dialogues with the unseen, these interpretations of the soul's symbolic speech, you begin to understand what the echoes are truly saying, what the lost parts of you are seeking. You learn to differentiate the voice of forgotten pain from the call of unlived potential, the murmur of ancestral legacy from the deep song of your soul's connection to the source. It is in these sacred conversations, these moments of luminous encounter with your own inner depths, that the fragments begin to coalesce, that the search for the rest of yourself becomes a joyous act of remembering, of lovingly calling all parts of your being home. And so, the search for the rest of yourself, this journey guided by faint and often unplaceable echoes, reveals itself not as a pursuit of something irretrievably lost, but as a sacred act of remembering, of gathering the scattered jewels of your own being into the crown of your present awareness. The echoes you once perceived as sources of vague longing, of subtle discontent or inexplicable familiarity, begin to transform. They become clearer, their messages more discernible, their energies less like haunting whispers and more like guiding melodies, leading you ever homeward to a fuller, more authentic, and profoundly resonant experience of who you are. This is the blossoming of your wholeness. This integration is an art, a lifetime's gentle practice of listening, acknowledging, and embracing all that you are, your light and your shadow, your history and your potential, your personal story and your timeless connection to the all. It is understanding that every fragment, every forgotten note, every unlived verse holds a precious part of your unique song. And as you lovingly reclaim these aspects, as you weave them into the tapestry of your conscious life, the music of your being becomes richer, deeper, more harmonious, more capable of expressing the full spectrum of your soul's magnificent truth. The rest of yourself was never truly separate, only waiting to be welcomed, to be seen, to be loved back into the conscious embrace of your heart. The journey of listening to the echoes, then, is a continuous unfolding, a path that spirals ever deeper into the mystery and wonder of your own existence. The echoes may never entirely cease, for growth and self-discovery are eternal. But they will change their tune, transforming from faint signals of something missing into the resonant chords of an ever-expanding symphony. For the echo you couldn't quite place, the melody you almost remembered, was never truly lost to you. It was always the music of your own soul, patiently, lovingly, eternally singing all of its parts back into the magnificent, ever-unfolding symphony of your wholeness. And all you ever need to do, is learn to truly, deeply listen and to courageously, compassionately, joyfully answer its call.